Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to the showdown between the Lizardmen led by Saurus Oldblood and the Empire, who's going to be led by Volkmar the Pimp atop his mighty pimp chariot. So without further ado, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So over here in Vanguard, I do have three groups of the famously annoying chameleon skinks, and I definitely feel like they're pretty good in the Empire matchup. So against like Heavy Cav, for example, who have 66 speed, as soon as they start chasing the skinks, they're going to get poisoned, get brought down to like 52 speed, and it is just so irritating for the Empire to catch these little bastards. And even if you try and shoot them with some of your missile units, they do have 40% missile resist and are pretty slippery. So use them just kind of skirmish, get up and around the flanks, and kind of do your thing. But of course, the Empire does have some answers. If they use like spearmen with swords and shields, or just spearmen with shields, or swordsmen with shields, or even against like great swords who have decent armor, the skinks can be kind of nullified, but still a very annoying force on the Lizardman roster. For my main line, I think in total, I have 6 groups of Saurus warriors with shields, which do pretty well against the Empire. The one thing that really punishes Saurus, or I guess it's not like complete punishment that does very well though, are Empire greatswords. So greatswords do have a bonus versus infantry, and they also have 95 armor, which I think got buffed. I think they used to have like 90 armor. I can't quite remember, but regardless, the Saurus warriors do have 52 weapon strength, but their AP can, in the overall formula here is a little bit low. So they're going to struggle against greatswords, which my opponent did bring. So definitely some good stuff over there. On the outside of my formation, I have 2 groups of skink cohorts with javelins, and the same thing on the other side. Just looking to get up and around his formation and try and harass his back line, get into the handgunners, the cannons, all that kind of good stuff. For our Lord, we do have a Saurus Oldblood here, so he's going to be going in. He does have the Horn of Kygor, which can give a charge bonus, melee attack, leadership. Basically, I just wanted to try going very wide. Usually when I do play against the Empire in the past, I had brought Krokar, but that was before he received many of his nerfs. So we do have the Saurus Oldblood. We also have a Skink Priest with the beasts up here. So we're going to be summoning Manticores and using Pan's Impenetrable Belt, maybe on some of our Cold One Spear Riders, just having a good time. Last but not least, 2 groups of Cold One Spear Riders out in the flanks. They're going to be doing some battle with the Reiksguard and Empire Knights, so it should be fun. For my opponent's forces, Antler's Reiksguard here in the front line, a bunch of great swords. He does also have 2 groups of handgunners, and pretty cool looking formation. He has like the handgunners in a tight box, like mixed in with the great swords. That looks really, really neat. 2 Empire Knights, Reiksguard, like I said, he does have the Hammer of the Witches, which is going to just absolutely shrek my Cold One Knights, most likely. Volkmar the Grim on the Pimp Chariot. He does have a Warrior Priest as well with the Hammer of Sigmar. Well, of course, the Hammer of Sigmar, the Shield of Faith, as well as Benediction, and the Banner of Eternal Flame. So, man, this is going to be a good one. So let's get this battle started. So I'm going to be advancing here. We are in the Crossroads, which is probably one of the favorite maps of the Empire because it's so open. But you can see the Hammer of the Witches coming in, and it actually misses its first shot there, it looks like. So let's see, did it get him auto? Oh, no, did not miss those skinks that time. But I have a feeling it was actually shooting at the Cold One Spear Rider. So on the flanks here, I'm trying to get my riders out here to engage against the Reiksguard, who are going to get poisoned by the Chameleons. And I actually I thought those were Empire Knights, so I was getting really aggressive. Granted, Zentler's Reiksguard can probably trade pretty effectively here. So I'm in a 2v1 scenario, so I try and pull back and get some of my skinks to throw some javelins, but he does get the really, really nice charge here, and the Hammer of the Witches just absolutely wrecks me there, so that was really, really unfortunate and a nice engagement for my opponent. So knowing that it's a bit of a wild situation, I'm going to be pulling in some Saurus, as well as my Saurus Oldblood, really just trying to salvage that situation. On the far side, my Cold One Spear Riders are kind of hanging tight as I do push up and around the flanks with my skink cohorts, and the Saurus are also going to be pushing up the pipe, and I think I'm going to be summoning a Manticore or something here, if I'm not mistaken. But the Saurus do get in here, and they're taking a charge from these Empire Knights. And the Saurus Oldblood is also going to be charging in and potentially using the Horn of Kygor. I cannot remember if I did it right here, but he gets in there with his really good AP. We're getting some okay damage. The Reiksguard did take a bit of a beating. My Lizard Knights, as we call them, in the back just got absolutely destroyed though. But starting to become a bit of a better trade. The Empire Knights are getting dragged into the mud, and it looks like he is coming back for another charge with the Reiksguard. In mainline fight, the Saurus warriors have engaged with the forces of the Empire, so I did pop Weisson's Wild Form to give them some weapon damage as well as additional armor, which isn't the best against the greatswords, but I just kind of was like, I need something in the front line to kind of even the odds. But you can see that the Saurus warriors actually being heavily defeated by these greatswords. And over here, I did try and get up and around, but the Cold One Riders do engage on the Empire Knights, get a good charge, and they are winning that, especially with the help of the skink cohorts. But my opponent does have his handgunners here, greatswords, and also this really cool Warrior Priest, which I always like seeing these guys in action. But yeah, I feel like they should have more armor. Granted, on the horse, I think he's on the Barded Warsteed right now. He does have 85 armor, which definitely makes a little bit more sense. But the greatsword's very, very effective, just kind of chopping up my skinks. And the greatswords in the front line are also winning against my Saurus. So a lot of things going well for my opponent here. However, I do have my Chameleons that are doing a very good job picking apart these greatswords here. These Empire Knights have been pushed off. The Saurus Oldblood doing a very, very good job. And the Zentler's Reiksguard are also starting to take a little bit of damage. And the Saurus warriors here are out of control and rampaging, but they're going to do pretty well against the Reichsguard, hopefully with the support of the Old Blood as well as the Skink Overwatch. So currently the bounce power is relatively even. The troop count is about 813 to about 500 for the Empire, so my army is definitely a little bit bigger. And the Cav are starting to get a little bit worn down. These Empire Knights are taking some damage. The Reichsguard are also taking some damage from some rallying Coldland Spear Riders here. But I don't know, though. It looks like the Greatswords plus Volkmar the Grim giving his benediction and his other buffs are going to just rout my line here. So the Skinks get terrified by the mighty Volkmar. The Empire Cav are cleaning up my Coldland Riders. And all of a sudden, my Saurus Old Blood is feeling a little bit lonely here. So I'm going to have to flee elsewhere to try and find some friends. In the meantime, though, my Skinks did go on a Mission Impossible run, so they ran up and through the center here, just doing a bit of a drive-by on these Greatswords, and a nice rear charge from my opponent with his pretty beat-up Reichsguard here. But this one group of Greatswords definitely probably going to lose versus these two groups of Saurus here, and it looks like there's a third one piling in as well. This Saurus group also just gets punished, which that was a pretty nice victory there for those Greatswords. 59 kills, the Warrior Priest just sweeping over, and he's just going to go, oh, where did that take me? I just hit some button and it teleported me to another realm. But the Saurus Old Blood was able to get away, which was nice. But now that the Warrior Priest is coming in and Volkmar, they have the Shield of Faith and the Hammer of Sigmar. They're just going so heavy metal here. And my Saurus are kind of getting surrounded and pounded, which is not fun. In the meantime, though, things are going well in the back line for the Lizard people. We get the Hammer of the Witches. You can see my Beastcaster here did summon a Manticore. And this is what I'm talking about. Empire Heavy Cav just have so many problems hunting Skinks. And you know, Empire Knights have such bad stats as is. They're usually not able to kill Skinks once they do catch them. But yeah, you can see they're actually getting broken off here, which is pretty funny. But we do kind of clean up the back line, which was pretty nice. You can see here the Empire Knights are trying to chase down the Skinks, but even if they catch them, there's 68 of these little bastards that are just going to be so annoying to kill. We do also get the handgunners with the Beastcaster, so it's looking good in the backfield. However, the main line is definitely favoring Volkmar the Pimp, and you can see he's hunting my Saurus Old Blood, who I did use the Cold Blood on to heal up a little bit. But the Empire Greatswords definitely proving their worth, taking out my Saurus Warriors. And I do have some rallying troops throughout the battlefield, trying to get my Skinks over here and seeing if I can just get rid of these handgunners. Because in very close, long games, you always want to get rid of ranged units. So then you can reform ranks and do your business. But you can see the Skinks here with the frogs are just going to be prison shanking this cannon crew. I did not want those guys coming back. So we're going to finish them off. And from there, we're most likely just going to go after the handgunners. So if we take a look at the battlefield here, you can see we do have a bit of a pocket of rallying Skinks and cohorts, but there's an 88 Greatswords over there that could come back. Volkmar the Grim is just going to be in the Clash of Fates right here with the Saurus Old Blood, so we'll see how that goes. But it looks like he's going to be chasing the Skinks, but the Saurus Old Blood will definitely win in like a head-to-head duel. But Volkmar the Grim, you know, he is a terror all of his own, running amok amongst my Skinks, and wow, he just took out like 5 models just riding through those guys, which is pretty good. Skink Priest is just going to be attacking some of these Empire Knights, trying to wear them down, get rid of the mobility so I can have the ranged advantage, but even though we do have a good situation on Volkmar here, and he doesn't really have too many supporting troops nearby, he's still going to be so tough to take down. He does have that ward save from the Grand Shield of Faith and a pretty high HP pool, and of course he's so mobile and tough to lock down, and he's most likely just going to run back towards his Greatswords. But the mighty Manticore has been summoned by my Beastcaster, and from here we're going to probably send him in on the Greatswords here, but I don't know, the Manticore summons, like, now, ever since they kind of made it so summon units do degenerate here, yeah, that looks really cool, and he'll definitely do well and potentially terror out these guys, but it's going to die pretty quick simply because of its degeneration. But yeah, it looks like it's doing a pretty good job against these Greatswords, buying some time for my Saurus Old Blood at the very least. Balance of power is pretty heavily in my opponent's favor. He does have a huge force coming over here. He has the Warrior Priests, he has some Greatswords. I have some like Haggard Skinks who are just going to be chasing down these handgunners, and the Skinks should win in melee. I think there's 42 of them compared to the 48 handgunners, but their stats in melee are so much better than these guys. They're coming in with their filthy throw. That Skink just got capped. He just got capped so hard. Oh man, that was brutal. That was so brutal. They just got, oh man, I haven't seen something like that in a while. But anyways, the Chameleon Skinks are actually losing this. The handgunners must be in like guard mode because you can see they're still like standing and shooting and yeah, putting up a really good fight. So I was surprised about this just now. But in the back, the Zintler's Reichsguard, still 24 of them are cleaning up. Balance of power is still in my opponent's favor. But guys, if we are going to be able to get Volkmar the Grim, we could probably, you know, sneak this game away because the Saurus Old Blood will then, you know, just go ham and probably be able to take out the Warrior Priest. But it looks like Volkmar is still going to continue to fight here. So we're going after him. The Summoned Manticore was able to help with the Greatswords quite a bit. It's now rampaging, but Volkmar is getting really, really low. He has about 1800 HP. He's getting poked by the Skinks. The Saurus Old Blood is just doing everything he can to drag this guy down. But still, we can't quite get that bounce of power back. You can see it's going in my opponent's favor here, as he does charge in with that Warrior Priest and that's going to make it really tough. I do pop the Amulet of Itzel, which is going to give me 66% ward save, but now, you know, whatever advantage I had on Volkmar the Grim is quickly fading as all these Imperial forces are rushing in to aid their heavy metal master here. There's handgunners coming in, there's a huge group of great swords, and I think that's going to be all she wrote for the Lizards. So very well played to my opponent. That was a super fun game trying to chase Volkmar the Grim. The Warrior Priest, you know, had a very good showcase here and was able to help multiple engagements. And yeah, it was just a ton of fun. But as far as like changing the build goes, I don't know. Maybe just being a little bit less sloppy with my engagement with the Coldland Spear Riders and maybe cut like one Saurus. I mean, this is a matchup I haven't played in a long time, so I definitely need to think about this one a little bit. But the Beastcaster wasn't bad. You know, maybe just go with like three Saurus in the front line. Go a little bit wider with some Coldland Spear Riders. Maybe even get some like the Pterodon Riders. I feel like they might not be terrible at like harassing the back line and just kind of trolling and stuff. Or you could even just go with like Mazda Mundi or like a Slann or something. I feel like the Slann magic would be pretty good against the Great Swords and all that. So anyways, very well played to my opponent. A livid pile of dirt. Look forward to running into again on ladder. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this Lizardmen versus Empire showdown. Have an excellent night, guys, and take care.